Hello, my beautiful friends. I am going to share a bit about the upcoming class series I am teaching called Auspicious Timing in Astrology and how to utilize it for your ritual. I'm also going to share my experience with the technique and crafting Urania's Lunar Elixir. I also, at the same time of crafting this elixir, I did a whole self-blessing ritual. So I will share with you my experience with that and the class that I'm teaching. It begins September 17th of 2022. And again, it's a three-part series. So the second part is going to be September 24th, and the third part is October 1st. And so let's go ahead and get into just a brief explanation of the class or the class series. And so the class is called Auspicious Timing in Astrology and How to Utilize It for Your Ritual. Not sure if I said that already. But this is essentially working with the astrological practice known as electional astrology. And electional astrology is essentially choosing a chart that best support and enhances your particular intention at that time. So if you're utilizing it for a ritual, you're going to learn the techniques or learn the technique of what to look for in order to do your ritual at the most divinely aligned time for within the astrology, and also you would reflect it back into your own birth chart. You can utilize electional astrology for any venture and endeavor or whatever it is you're intending to initiate. So it could be for a lot of people use electional astrology for weddings, for beginning a business, and astrological magic, whether it's making a talisman or, as I did in this case, Urania's lunar elixir, and it all just kind of came forth. Okay. And so electional astrology is actually based in an ancient tradition known as Hellenistic astrology, which is going to be the perspective of astrology that I will be teaching and utilizing. So that first part of the class, or the first part one of the series, essentially is going to be going over the basics of Hellenistic astrology, learning the planetary virtues and qualities, the zodiacal sign qualities. I use traditional rulership, so that'll be Mars for Scorpio, Saturn for Aquarius, Jupiter for Pisces. So we'll talk a bit about that and why. I'll give a brief introduction of the historical significance of Hellenistic astrology. And we'll talk about day versus night chart, because that is really, really important and powerful when working with electional astrology. Part two, we will discuss, or I will teach transits, how to identify major transits and alignments. I will also talk about why the midheaven and the ascendant are really significant points in time and space. And this is in accordance with the ancient Egyptian astrology. And then I'll also teach briefly annual perfection, which is a really, really easy timing technique that will be in support of casting your chart. And I also didn't mention that Hellenistic astrology is essentially the merging of ancient Mesopotamian astrology and ancient Egyptian astrology that during that Greco-Roman period, or the Hellenistic period, which was that first century BCE, that was they took those two aspects and merged that together, and that is essentially the foundation of Western tropical astrology as we know it. So it's really, really powerful perspective. If you all have been following me for some time now, you know I started out with modern astrology, then I practiced evolutionary astrology, and now I found my home, my roots in Hellenistic astrology. And yeah, it's magic. It's so grounding, and it's so rooted. And that's for me specifically. I do value the other perspectives and traditions of Western tropical astrology, but this is very powerful when it comes to this being Hellenistic astrology, is very powerful when it comes to the timing aspects. And so for part three of the class series, I will discuss, or you will learn how to actually integrate the first part one and part two, integrate that with your intentions for your ritual. So how to choose the best time for your ritual, how to emphasize what your intention is and what energies you're trying to work with, what archetypes or, spirits, divine spirits you're trying to work with and connect with during your ritual. So that is going to be all discussed and all taught in this series called Auspicious Timing in Astrology and how to utilize it for your ritual. Again, if you think you might be interested in this class, you can definitely check out the link in the description of this video because it will have all the information, a little bit more detail. You'll get to see a list of what's actually taught in the different parts all in one place. And so also, you will have to register for each part separately. So say if you already have a practice in Hellenistic astrology and you just want to learn the electional astrology part, you can just take part 3. Of course, I recommend taking all 3 parts because you'll just have clarity on how it's all flowing and having that foundation to build upon. But again, it is not necessary. Let's first talk about the astrology that I worked with. And back in April, the day that I did the Elixir was April 26th of 2022. And during that time, or if you want to back it up even further, because this is really significant to just working with your intentions and the astrology, like specifically, what exactly is it that you are wanting to draw down? What are you wanting to draw down from the astrology or the cosmic climate, whatever's going on currently? And that was it kind of all happened at the same time, to be honest. And so early last year of 2021, I really began to connect deeper and deeper with Venus in my chart, or Venus specifically. Then I really started diving into Venus in my birth chart, and I learned that Venus is actually exalted. And I knew it was exalted in Pisces. And so, of course, reflecting back on my chart, Venus is exalted, and my Venus is in Pisces. And it's in the 5th house, which is the house of good fortune and creative endeavors and things of that nature. And so Venus is said to rejoice in the 5th house, which Venus is in my 5th house in my birth chart. So it was just like so many things came together, and I just really started to connect with Venus, in addition to connecting with the lunar energy. And Venus is on the in the bottom half of my chart as well, in the lower hemisphere of my birth chart. And so there's already that dark essence there as well. And it is in a harmonious aspect to my rising sign, which is Scorpio. And so that harmonious aspect is a trine. So there's just so many things pointing to that dark feminine essence. At least that's what spoke to me. So I already knew I wanted to work with that energy, or I had already been in the practice of connecting deeper with Venus. And so during this time of April, Jupiter was in Pisces still, and Venus was in Pisces at this time. Okay, now I have it right here. I'm like, I thought I wrote all this down. So Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, and the moon and Mars were all in Pisces. So there was this huge stellium, what we call, if there's 3 or more planets in one sign, happening in Pisces. So I looked at this as a party in Pisces. And when I looked at where this energy was in my birth chart, it was in the house. It was hitting the house of good fortune, creative endeavors, romance, pleasure, all of those things. And it was hitting my natal Venus, and my Mars is also there as well. And so I had all of this really good energy on, or just really all of this energy on this good vibe area of my chart is in what I've been focusing on for some time. In addition to that, when it comes to annual perfection, which I will also discuss in the class. I'm starting to feel a little buzzy for my tincture. When it comes to annual perfection, I was in a Jupiter, what we call a time lord for that year, So Jupiter was essentially the time lord, or had dominance over my life from my birthday, January 20th of 2022, up until till my birthday, January 20th of 2023. So again, this all took place April 26th of 2022 is when I initiated this ritual, is the chart that I chose. And it was chosen, I did actually 2 charts. So I basically did my moon water at 10:15 p.m. on April 26th. And then I did the ritual on, I didn't even write that time down here, but that's funny. I did the ritual the same within that, like a couple hours. So it would have actually been at 4 on April 27th of 2022. And it was, I did it at like 4:30 in the morning. I have the chart in my files of charts. But yeah, so a couple hours later, I woke up early in the morning because I wanted to get a Pisces. I think Pisces was rising. So I wanted to get all that energy on the ascendant, right? And so that is essentially when I woke up and did the self-blessing ritual and crafted this elixir. So the self-blessing rituals was really, really amazing. And I got it from this women's mystery book, the Holy Book of Women's Mysteries. This book is really special to me because I got this when I was visiting San Diego at a used bookstore, and I just randomly picked it up and started looking through it. And I, little things like, let me just show you, little symbolisms like this always, see that Ankh? Little things like that. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. And of course, looking more into the book, I was like, this is amazing. So I got this in 2016, possibly, I think. And this is really significant because this is when in the time where I hadn't really established the fact that I wanted to do this professionally, but I had just started my Instagram account, and I felt a pull to, I didn't really know what was going on, but there was something going on, and I knew that. And I was like, oh, I think I was thinking about a business name or what I wanted my, just my Instagram to be. And I saw Urania, like there was a little, like 1 or 2 paragraphs about Urania. And I was just like, never heard of her before. It just all came together. And so that is a very special book to me because that is where I got the name Urania, or just the concept, and that connection was made between myself and Urania, which is essentially the divine aspect of myself, is how I see that, or how that connection was made. And so reflecting back on this book, I was like, there's got to be something about Venus or Aphrodite in this book. And of course there was. And reading through it, I came across the self-blessing ritual. And I did tweak it a little bit to better serve, my, just my own vibe, my own energy. And that ritual was what I did in preparation or as a process of transformation that I wanted to endure, or that my intention was when I was drawing down that energy and infusing that into this elixir. And so I did the ritual. Sorry, I'm all like stumbly here. I always say this. I'm like, oh, I should have grounded, upon recording this, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. But yeah, so that was my intention. So the self-blessing ritual is amazing. It's a whole herbal bath ritual. And then you get out of the bath, you come to your altar, and you say certain things, and it's activating essentially each chakra aspect. You're just pulling all of your power, calling all of your power back to you, integrating everything, locking it in, essentially just bringing it in tightly and grounding in your essence. And it's just a really nice self-love ritual. And if you're curious about it, there is a link in the description of this video on just sharing this ritual with you if you want to do it yourself. And of course, modify whatever's necessary to fit you personally, because that's what I did from, my experience from gathering that from this book. And so my intention with this elixir was to draw down the essence of Urania that resonates with the dark feminine, the moon priestess, that stands strong within her sensuality and feminine wiles, the mystic that is strongly and divinely in touch with her intuition and psychic powers. This elixir is a liquid embodiment of Urania's beauty, wisdom, strength, and psychic connection. It is activating leadership, mastery, alchemist, and the magician aspects. A full and authentic embodiment of the high priestess of Hathor, and so it is. This is just what I wrote in my journal. That was setting my intention, writing that down. I also, I have connected really, really beautifully and strongly with the ancient Egyptian goddess known as Hathor, which that's a whole nother thing. I have some videos on here about Hathor if you're curious, but yeah, that was one of the main feminine embodiments that I really connect to and saw that within myself. And I wanted to emphasize that. The other one that just kind of came through here was this Kali. It's called Kaladara, right? So it's this aspect of Kali. And I saw it in one of my favorite tarot readers videos. I like a couple months, I think, before I even like decided to do this ritual. And I just connected with this card and I wanted the deck, but the cards were too big. When I was looking at it on Amazon, I was like, yeah, yada, yada, I might get it. Right. So it's funny. I went to the crystal shop, a local crystal shop, and I was like, okay. And this is when I had in mind that I was doing the ritual. And I was like, I want to get lapis lazuli because that was really significant for me in regard to just the ancient Egyptian connection. And of course, whatever else pulls me in. Well, funny enough, I did not get lapis lazuli. I did, however, come across this beautiful selenite crescent moon. And I was just like, I have to have it. It just drew me in. And then walking around the shop, I saw a pocket version, or I don't know if this is considered a pocket version, but a smaller version of that Kali Oracle deck. I wasn't even looking for it. It was just there. And I was like, I need that. Like right away, I was like, I gotta get that. And then I searched through the deck, pulled out this card, and it just clicked. I was like, this is that. This was a visualization of what I had in mind to a certain degree, especially with the crescent moon here. It was just everything coming together, the royal blue, the gold. It just feels really Egyptian to me, even though this is a Kali image. And I have been connected to Kali for years. And so that was that dark feminine aspect that I was really connecting with. And so within the elixir, the herbs that I use, I chose the herbs in alignment with the intention. So blue lotus, as we know, the lotus flower is heavily correlated to the ancient Egyptian culture. Demiana, one of my very, very favorite herbs, correlates to Venus, and it's that sensuality aspect, that love. It's an aphrodisiac. Blue lotus is good for intuition, heightening or enhancing intuition and visualization. I use rose that unconditional love and just the softness, right? Just to kind of balance out the intensity that I'm already drawing down. And then I use echinacea root to ground and protect. And I forgot exactly. I feel like there was another reason why I used that, but I've been using echinacea root a lot at that time, and I just felt really connected to it. And I was just like, I naturally, like it just happened. I was like, oh yeah, I want to put this in there. In addition to the selenite crescent moon that I use, I also put in a raw amethyst cluster, raw rose quartz obelisk, and a Lumerian quartz points that was really, really powerful for me personally. And I crafted a moon water with those gems. Or no, I'm sorry, I only had, did I have all of them in there? Actually, yeah, I think I had all those crystals in there. And I, put it in a jar, right? A glass mason jar. And then I put it in a big jar of the water, right? So I didn't actually have the crystals directly in the water, because some crystals, it's not safe to consume once you do that. Yeah. And so really, I'm not going to go into all the details. I'll share a bit of this, when I teach the class. But what was really powerful I remember just certain parts of this within this ritual. Like it was divine timing. So leading up to the ritual, I want to say 3 days prior, I was having really intense dreams. And it was kind of in that in between space. Like, is this a dream or is this really happening? Or we're kind of like bleed into dream into reality. And I was waking up in the middle of the night, right, out of this dream, or in the dream, there was this focus on my closet. And my bed lays here, and my closet is right here. And so where I lay my head is like if I look over, I'm facing, I can see the closet. I don't have closet doors or doors on my closet. And so it's open and it's just dark. Sometimes I have a candle going at night, sometimes I don't. And I remember at that time I didn't, and there was just like this dark feminine creature. She was just like, well, I didn't see her, but this is the feeling I got. She was like wild, she was mean, she was really scary. And back in the day, or even months before that, I'd be like, oh, I can't face it. Or, I would have my partner switch sides of the bed with me just because the dreams were so intense, because it was a dream. But then I would wake up out of it and I'm just like, and that's when you feel that feeling. But in that moment, I decided to just face it. Like I was like, I'm just going to go back to bed facing that. I'm like, it is what it is. Like it's, but I knew it was very symbolic to even confronting my own shadow and what's been in the closet, essentially, in those deeper aspects of myself. So I'm pulling that out, right, with my intentions. So the ritual, the transformation has already begun, and I haven't even like did it with the timing. And I think it was because I was in all this preparation for it. I was already drinking like those herbs as tea, as I was getting ready or getting closer and closer to the actual elected time to do the ritual. And so I remember on the day, right? So let me move it back. On the day, April 26th at 10:15 p.m., I took out, that's when I crafted the moon water. So I set that out because that was specifically a Sagittarius rising, right? So I still have Jupiter's influence is what I want, right? For my own particular empowerment with my own birth chart. And it's making a very dynamic aspect to the Pisces energy in my chart, which in the class we'll talk about aspects and we'll talk about transits. And so I crafted my moon water. So I put the moon water and the gems out. I went to bed. Then I set an alarm for, I think, like 4:10 or something like that, just to wake up a little bit earlier. So at the time, I think it was like 4:24, I was doing my thing. I was getting in the bath, right? Or I was drawing the bath. And so I remember like it was literally right before my alarm went off. What came through, I was like, remember looking out my window and I saw the moon, because in my bedroom window, I can see at certain times of the year, the moon is like climbing at that point, like I can see it. And I remember it was like the goddess is pleased. And then I woke up, and as soon as I woke up, like my alarm went off, and I was just like, what? And so I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. And so that happened. I, went outside and grabbed my moon water, and this is basically, yeah, so I got that out and I kind of set everything up. And then I made the intention. I was like, this ritual starts when I begin to draw the bath, when I start that water, when I draw the bath, right? So I got everything prepped. So then by the time the elected time came through, I drew the bath. I was amazing. And it was just beautiful because it's like the in-between space, right? Like it's night, it's like coming into morning. I'm starting to hear the birds, but it's still dark outside. So there's kind of like these interesting shadows being made. And so I enjoy my bath, and I have this whole visualization that I did within the bath. And again, if you want to do this self blessing ritual, I would highly recommend it. And it's for free on my website. You just have to become a member of my private community, which is free. And again, the link is below. And so, yeah, I got out of the bath. I came to my altar, and you want to come to your altar like fully naked. I think I had on my cloak, right? I have a black cloak, so I didn't have anything underneath. But like the point of getting out of the bath and then coming to the altar to do like the blessing part and connecting with all of your chakras and activating everything. Like, it's like the blood is flowing through your body. Your like body's awakened, right? Your senses are awakened and everything from the bath, and you're cleansed essentially. And then you're stepping to your altar naked and connecting with the divine goddess, right? Or your divine self, or whoever it is you're connecting with. So I was doing the things, and I was just like, and you take a bit of in the ritual, you don't have to, but there's an aspect of taking a sip of wine, or in that case, I took a sip of brandy because that's what I was integrating into my elixir. And I just remember taking that, and it's like, oh my gosh, the heat, the warmth. And then I was like, I felt like I was gonna like not pass out, but I just kind of started feeling sick and like lightheaded. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I just had to ground myself. I was so strong and proud of myself. There was also in the ritual, you are guided to sprinkle salt on the floor in front of your altar, and you stand on that, and that's standing on your own wisdom. And that really helped me to stay grounded in the practice. Hi, sweet. And so, with that said, while I was going through the process as well, I remember seeing, because I'm in front of a mirror, I have a mirror in front of my altar, like on the wall. And I remember just glancing, or I was looking at myself, and also looking at this picture from time to time, and just making that integration of, this is me, this is you, this is me. We're integrating and calling forth that divine aspect of myself. And I remember seeing this huge shadow, like kind of like hovering over me, or just like, it was my shadow. It was like really huge because I had candles lit, right? And it was just like, it was amazing. I was like, wait, what is that on the roof? It was just so divine. And I don't really, I don't know. It was just really, really powerful. Okay, so here the ritual began at 4:30 a.m. Right? Just want to make sure I didn't miss any. Okay. Yeah, I was so pleased and felt so strongly. I was able to actually go back to bed. And yeah, so then after I did the self-blessing ritual, I crafted the tincture, which was like really easy. I did it right at my altar, bottled it up, right? I let it sit there until, I woke up. I like let the candle, actually, no, I think I blew the candle. I think that was a part of the ritual, but either way, it just all aligned so nicely. And my daughter woke up like right at the end. And so then she ran in the room and was like hugging me and stuff, which I thought was very symbolic, very special for that. And especially because it was like after the end, it was just that transition of coming into myself and connecting with my daughter, and me being the divine mother, and all of these energies just coming together so beautifully. So again, I bottled this all up, or no, I didn't bottle it. I set it in the mason jar, right? And I let it steep in the herbs. And I chose another time to actually bottle it up, right? An auspicious time, which, it was really hard. I wanted to emphasize Venus and Jupiter again. It was really hard to find a really good time because there's so much going on astrologically that you're trying to like dodge here. But the night I bottled it up, right, there was, it was building up to Uranus conjunction with Mars. Mars had already squared Saturn, yes, and then Mars is going to conjoin or meet up with Uranus, but it was like the in between, and it was really only the best time I could do it because I was traveling and whatnot. And I bottled this up. Like, again, I woke up at 4, I think it was like 4:30 in the morning to bottle this up, went back to bed. And that day, literally my life shifted in a crazy way. And it was really, really intense. And I didn't even think about it until like a couple of days afterwards, but really came through because another intention was that self-reliance. That was a big one. And so there was a huge transformation that, I've been on this ongoing transformation, but I think it really, when I bottled it up, that was very symbolic because that day was crazy. So my thing is, it works. Right now, I feel very high in a way. I feel, because, I've been sipping on this here a little bit. I feel spacey, and we'll see how I feel throughout the day. But I feel this is a tincture I want to take at night because I'm already feeling like, oh, I want to like pull some cards and start journaling and stuff like that. And I actually have stuff to do. So I'm like, it is a lunar elixir. So maybe this is the nighttime. I'm about to do a ritual, or I'm about to, sit with my altar and my cards and the goddess and really connect in that way. But yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you join me for this class. If you have any comments or questions, please leave that below. Please like and subscribe. If you enjoy this, I will have more content on random things such as this. And I will talk to you all again soon. Take care.